Здравствуйте, дорогие друзья! Сегодня мы будем разбирать автомат Kalashnikov. It's by KWA, it's not the real thing. Today we're going to be disassembling the KWA AK-74M. This is a gas blowback AK-74, so I will just be doing a brief field strip of this bad boy and we'll get right down to it. Okay, so aside from having your favorite vodka next to you while you do this, I would definitely recommend also some kind of mini screwdriver. This will just help you for a couple parts actually. There's a little pin on the flash hider there that it'll just be easier to push down with this instead of your fingernail. And then also there is a part in the blowback unit that kind of clips the hammer a little bit, and in order to slide it forward, or I'm sorry, to slide it back to remove it, you need to push down the hammer a little bit because otherwise it's not going to go anywhere. Again, this video is mainly a field strip. This is going to be pretty much just the simple field strip, not bolt by bolt or anything. This is going to be mainly if you're trying to do some kind of lubrication or something, and you know, just the simple stuff. And I could even share some terms in Russian of this AK-74 that, you know, some of the parts, I guess. I'll see if I can do some education for you guys in Russian. So, first things first, we'll take off the magazine. So, magazine in Russian, it's really simple. It doesn't sound like anything different from English. Then the next thing is gonna be the flash hider. So again, the little tip right here, if you can't see, it's going to be there for most AKs. It's pretty much spring loaded, so you want to press it down, and then once you have it pressed, just so then the flash hider can spin freely. So it'll come out like so. So here's what that looks like. As you can tell, I colored this in with like a Sharpie. I really don't like it because again, with KWA, they love to spray paint orange tips, not plastic or anything like that. So I might just end up painting this at one point just to get the inside there because I can't really get it. The other thing too, for this piece right here that the flash hider is screwed onto, you don't necessarily have to remove that. If you're trying to do just a simple, you know, field strip of the top. I'm just kind of showing you guys like what parts you can remove if you choose to do so. There is a little grub screw. I think there's 2 of them here. So you will need a very small Allen key to remove that. I'm not going to remove that for today's video because I don't find it necessary. But anyway, so we'll continue. The one thing, I unfortunately don't know the Russian word for a flash hider. I really don't feel like butchering it either, so sorry, that one I don't know. But anyway, so the next thing, we will go ahead and take the dust cover off. So there's a button on the back, plain and simple. It just comes right off. And then of course you have your mechanism here. So as you saw, my hammer is disengaged, so you will need to set that hammer back in order to pull the piston and the charging handle out. So we'll just rack that back real quick. This thing's had a lot of problems jamming lately. I don't know why. As you can tell, it jammed. And this is making me cry as a Russian inside because these are not supposed to jam, but it jammed. Anyway, I don't know why. I have it lubed up plenty, but still likes to cause issues. So once you have that racked, then you can, okay, so I'll do that without being so quick about it. This piece right here, you'll just press it towards the charging handle, so it compresses the spring a little, and it'll come off the rails that it was on. So then it'll pretty much pull out the whole charging handle assembly, the recoil spring. So it's a little weird how it's designed. I don't know if the real thing is like that too, but it has like 2 pieces of metal here and they're joined together by the one spring, so it kind of looks like a broken piece of metal, but it is not. And then of course you have the little buffer piece here, which I have seen people actually remove this, so it's a full travel. I would not advise this because it will jam, it won't always work, and you really have, you know, a high possibility of it breaking. And considering the price tag on these, you don't want to do that. It's just better not to. So usually this is a component that likes to, you know, receive the most abuse just because its spring gets compressed every time you fire it. So this is something you'd want to put at least a little lubrication on just so it cycles smoothly. In Russian, the word spring is pruzhina. So, I mean, that's really, you know, it's the very technical terms I am not too familiar with, you know, but little words like that, yes. I know I'm making every Russian cringe right now, but that's okay. So right now, here's what you're looking at once you have the spring taken out. So the next issue when it comes to taking out the actual bolt is the nozzle tends to clip onto the hammer here. So you will probably need the aid of a small screwdriver. So the way to get that piece off is you rack it back, and see, now it's racked back and I'm pushing it forward. It only nudges a little bit, but other than that, it's not gonna go anywhere. So when you push it all the way back, take your screwdriver, and then there's like a small little notch right here that you could slip the screwdriver through, and you just press on the hammer. Just press it down, and it'll release the nozzle that's holding it. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. Okay, almost had it. Okay, so after fiddling with this freaking thing, I managed to get that piston to be reset all the way in the back. So pretty much the little tail ends here of that piston should line up with this notch here, so then the whole assembly can come out. So again, this is where this screwdriver came into handy. You got to make sure you press down into that hammer assembly. You got to press the hammer down all the way, so then the piston retracts back, and then the whole assembly will come out. So let me see if I can kind of show you this up close. So here's the whole hammer layout here. You have to make sure that you press on like the tail of this thing right here. So I'm kind of pressing it. That's the part you want to make sure you compress all the way down with that screwdriver. So then from there, the piston will slide back, and I'm just gonna fold this so it kind of cuts up on space a bit. Here is what I'm talking about with the piston. So here's the full charging handle assembly. It is aluminum, so it is designed for lightweight, less recoil, which, you know, it's definitely nice, but I prefer it to be the heavy kicking like the Wii Tech. But here is the whole assembly, and this is the nozzle. So it's technically stuck like this when you're trying to pull it out, but you need to make sure that this compresses all the way in the back to its neutral position for it to come out. So it's a pain. Again, I'm sure those of you that have this AK-74 or the KSC version, you have run into the same issue as me. So, you know, it's definitely something that's, you know, it's a little challenging. You just got to fiddle with it a bit. For the most part, you will have access to the whole hammer assembly. So if you have some of the GBB lube that comes with a lot of the KW8 products, you can just do a drop on each part of the compressed springs, and then that'll be enough to do it. And then you also have your hop-up chamber fully open here, so it's easy to adjust, you know, because there's little tick marks here. So, you know, it's definitely important to see, you know, how you want your settings to be. Another thing too, just like the real AK, for the disassembly, you will get the little notch here. If you flick it up, it will actually remove this gas cover here. So the way that works is it should just fling up like so. So here's essentially the gas tube, which you'll see come out as a whole piece. So if it sounds like it does in English, then in Russian this is газовая труба, which means just gas tube or gas pipe. So that's what that is. And again, is it practical for you to take that apart? I'm not saying it is, but is it cool that they included it like the real thing? I think so. So again, here is the gas tube, because again, the way with an AK, whenever the round is fired through here, it goes through, the gas is behind the bullet, will go through this little piece right here and into the gas chamber, and then it'll pull this piston back, because this little little lump on the front is pretty much the size of that gas tube exactly, and then all the gases will just compress the charging handle back. It'll push it back, eject the shell, and then the piece will actually just the piece down here where the nozzle is would just push the bullet through, and then so on and so forth. Just a quick little lesson on how that works. But again, it's a very simple disassembly for field stripping. The cool thing that I noticed too with KWA is they do actually have a dust rod, or a jamming rod. Pretty much on the real AK, it's exactly what it sounds like. If you have a jam, you would use this to just push the crap out of the barrel if it's like a casing or something that's lodged, for example. This is also used for a lot of other things. I did read that during the time of war in Afghanistan with Soviets and the Mujahideen, a lot of the Soviets would use these as skewers, actually, for shashlik, for shish kebab and meat and stuff and food. They use these for a lot of stuff too, you know, not just the gun. When you're out in, you know, no man's land, you know, tools like this can be beneficial for everyday survival, not just for your gun. So it's very cool. I like that KWA included that. Now, for the most part, with the assembly of everything, it's pretty straightforward, honestly. Again, they don't just say it, you know, if in real life, you know, that a child can put the real thing together. The same thing really applies to the real thing. There's really nothing to it. Like, I will probably do it like a quick, you know, quick installation here of putting everything back. So I will put the gas tube back on first. A little too hard, but you kind of have to be a little bit with this thing. And then I could put the flash hider back on, since, you know, it didn't really play a huge role into, you know, a requirement of disassembling the gun, but just to do it for the hell of it, you know, it's definitely cool. Now, this is the tough part. So when you put this back, again, you align the little fins on the nozzle with the notches that are here on the frame of the gun. So it should fall through flush, no problem. But then you come across the issue of, oh, I put it in, but now it's not going forward. Again, this is where you have to play with that, that hammer. You have to push it down and slide it forward at the same time. And then, oh, I just locked it back. So you might have to do that. It could take you a few tries if you're not really used to it. I mean, I'm somewhat used to it myself, and even I come across the issue. And again, the table does not help that it slides like that. Let me see how I can get in here. Okay. And sometimes even underneath the magazine, where the magazine would go in, you can get in there too, but I mean, it's really a lot harder that way. But your best bet is to just get it through here. You know what? Let me... There we go. Perfect. Got it. So again, that's the tough part out of all this, is that freaking charging rod. That's just a pain to put in. So then we'll put the spring guide back in, and then make sure it settles into that back end of the AK just fine. So otherwise, if you don't watch it, you might screw it up when you're trying to fire. And then the dust cover. There's like little notches right here. You want to make sure you put the front end first into those notches. Once it's in there. Okay, perfect. So now we got it. And this thing should be good to go. Anyway, oh man, banging the table now. But anyway, that is the full disassembly. I did have some parts fast forwarded for you because it just kind of got a little out of hand with some of these parts. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I apologize it wasn't as full of a Russian lesson as I thought it would be, but as soon as I saw some of these parts, I'm like, I don't think I can pronounce these words. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. You guys have a good one.